Hi, welcome to Deep Work Fast. I'm Chris Grimm, and every Wednesday for 20 minutes or less, I bring you ideas and concepts that you can put into your immediate work and life that'll make a difference. So let's get started. Today, I have a 3-step process that was originally created in cognitive behavior therapy. Don't get scared. It's really effective if you want to be calm and clear-headed and focused when you are either making a decision or responding to a situation where you need to do something, right? And I'm hoping that you agree with me that calm, clear-headed, and focused sounds like a good idea. But the reason I'm giving you this tool, and by the way, the tool is called Stop, Challenge, and Choose. And in a few minutes, I'll go through all 3 steps with you. But I want to make sure we're on the same page about why this tool I think is so important right now. Most of us, you, me, your team members, your family members, are operating now in what seems like a world that creates or brings a lot of factors that can create suboptimal uh, environments for us, right? We have a ton of load on our nervous system. Some of it's this, right? Zoom and video based everything, or switching back and forth if you're hybrid, and all the other new technology that we're using, the fast pace, which feels in some places like the fastest fast lane I've ever seen, and increasing pressure with that. And my gosh, just the overload of uncertainty and fear that many people also are experiencing, right? All of that, along with normal life. And when I say that, I mean, things that are normal and we look forward to, like at this moment in time, a lot of people's kids are graduating from high school. It's a great example of something good, right? We look forward to that. Along with that, it also creates a whole bunch of new decisions. If they're going to go to college, if they're not going to go to college, right? You've all been in those processes. If you've lived it, you know what I'm talking about. It also creates new expenses. It creates a whole bunch of questions and decisions that maybe one person can't be in control of. So what it tends to do to us, right, and that's just one thing that's good, is that it overlays a whole bunch of things, right, potentially triggering events or moments alongside all these other things that, again, create, for many people, what I call an emotional hijacking, where if it's an intense emotion, it takes you out of that calm, clear-headed, and focused state, which is why I often refer to that. And if you've worked with me in a corporate environment, I call that suboptimal. Like, you don't really want to run your business and your life from a place of lack of clarity, confused, angry, upset, annoyed, resentful. Should I go on? You know what I'm talking about, right? And unfortunately, a lot of people are there, or they're sitting on the surface of it. What I'm finding in coaching, so I really want you to just think about yourself for a minute before you start thinking about everybody else. Many people are operating with so much stuff going on in their personal life, and then add work on top of that and the stress and pressure, that they're kind of every day doing everything they can to stay on the line, right? Not let all the potential anger, resentment, annoyance, the built up stuff. For some people, that's rage. For other people, it's not that, right? It's just all that stress and anxiety that's kind of waiting there to pop up above that line if, in fact, a specific situation comes and kind of pushes that button. So I am bringing you this tool because anyone can use it. It's free. It is something that you can practice pretty quickly if you just learn about it, which Heather Mission Control is going to put that in the chat so that you have a link to a really quick blog read that I wrote about this tool. And then it has a link to the directions. So I've got you. Let's talk about what it is, since I've been talking about it a lot. So stop, challenge, and choose. That's it. So if you need to write that down, write it down. Otherwise, you'll get it in the link when you look at my blog. The first step is to stop. Now, if you are in the middle of a hijacking, so let's talk about this because it really is about when to use this. And there's two main moments in time where I want you to learn to go to stop, challenge, and choose. The first is a situation where you are hijacked. So it might be a meeting where someone presents not the news that you wanted to hear. And you were expecting better news. It could be a home situation where, let's say, your teen crashed the car or got a really expensive ticket, or your spouse tells you something's going to cost 3 or 5 times more than what you thought. I'm sure you have lots of moments you can think about from the past. So I call it an emotional hijacking because it is when an intense feeling, usually anger or frustration of some sort, takes over and it triggers your fight or flight response. So Stop, Challenge, and Choose was designed for this. It was designed to help you take back control and get calm when you've been hijacked. And if you don't do something, right, if you don't use Stop, Challenge, and Choose, what usually happens with people is we end up saying and doing things that maybe we will regret, or we withhold and hold that in, and then later it becomes a volcano or something that we really can't stop before it takes over. So that's one scenario, right? You want to use Stop, Challenge, and Choose if you have a hijacking. And the second thing, and I hope there's more of these number twos, is that when you are anticipating a situation, so before it potentially happens. So think about this. It could be before you go to a job interview and you're nervous. It could be before you have to terminate someone or lay someone off, right? There's all those preliminary, anxious, worrisome feelings. Maybe you going through all the conversations in your head. It could be you having to take the car away because your teen went through too many stop signs. Life is full of these things, right? The potential moments where we could get hijacked if we don't know how to stop. So scenario 1 is we're already hijacked. Scenario 2 is we could be, because whatever is coming has anxiety to it and we're already thinking about it a lot. So step number 1, the stop. I want to just stay here with you for a minute and just tell you what it is. Stop means that you will adopt an intentional process of structured breathing. Now, I am not asking you to stop and meditate. Oh, that's not what this is. You can do that. That's not Stop, Challenge, and Choose. The stop in Stop, Challenge, and Choose is 1 minute of structured breathing. In the directions in that link, I am going to recommend that you use a modified version of box breathing. Box breathing, if you Google it, is used by Navy SEALs who, by the way, have to stay calm, clear-headed, and focused, usually in high stress environments, potentially life-threatening environments. So I promise if it works for them, it can work for you. So the stop is that. Now you might say to me, because many times in coaching, people will look at me and go, wait, you want me to breathe? Well, you're breathing anyway. But if you don't take control of it, when you do get those anxious feelings or angry feelings, that's going to escalate because that's what fight or flight does. Our body is designed to protect us and to protect the people around us from us or whatever is happening in that moment. And so those auto responses of your body will start to take over. Unfortunately, in that process, and you're an adult, so you should know this, but if you don't, learn it now. When those things happen, when fight or flight takes over, your rational brain cannot think clearly. It can only think about the situation at hand that feels threatening or bad. So I want you to learn how to stop that response before it happens or while it's happening so you can get back to a state of calm. I also calling that the reset of that fight or flight response. Once you do that, you can do step number 2, which for many people is also a new idea. It is challenging your own thinking. So step number 2 is not challenging the other person or any of those other things yet. You might do that later, but you're going to stop first. You're going to calm down. You're going to get clear-headed, and you're going to check your own thinking. You're going to challenge it. Inside that link, I gave you some questions to use to challenge your own thinking. Now, if you're wondering why that's where we go first, it's because if you challenge your own thinking before other people do, your reaction to them is going to be different. Think about that. What happens most of the time, because we're all moving so fast, is that you get your thinking about, let's call it the meeting, the cost-cutting exercise, the strategic planning, the decision you have to make about a strategy that maybe is not working and your business results are going down. I hope that's not happening, but chances are at some point in time it is going to happen if you haven't experienced it. So what happens then is that we get anxious, we have all of these thoughts, we start to think about fixing the problem and also being preventative. And then if we don't stop and challenge our own thinking, most likely you're going to get into some situation where someone's going to poke holes in your ideas. And all the things that you believed in your head to be the right way forward, when people are challenging it, I want you to think about what happens, because I've watched it with some of you, is that then we feel resistance. It turns into conflict. So if you can stop and challenge your own thinking before other people get a chance to do that, most likely, first of all, them pushing back on you and asking questions and challenging you, it's not going to feel the sting, not the same. It could, but chances are it's going to be less because you will be prepared. Now, here's the other part that you can't miss. So we stop, we challenge our own thinking, and then we choose. So here's the part that I believe most people miss, and that's why all day, every day, I'm guessing you, like other people, are wondering why people do the things they do. Believe me, I spend a ton of times listening to all of you tell me stories, and we're like, wow, why did that happen? Like, really? That person did that? Okay, here's why. Well, because people aren't stopped challenging and choosing. They are instead just running through the day, responding to things as quickly as possible. I've done it, you guys. I know. So I don't just see this in my coaching. I live it in my own life. I live it with my own team. I live it with my family. So I know this to be true. When we are not intentional and we're not adopting a new practice or a process, which means we're telling ourselves it is important. I want to function all day, every day in an optimal way, regardless of what's going on around me. I want to be calm. I want to be as clear-headed as I possibly can. I want to be focused. I want to be able to challenge myself first. And then I want to create a menu. Number 3 is what I call the menu. It's the choose part. If you are prepared for situations, you can often prepare a menu of options so that you know you have more than one way to respond. Now, let me just say something important to you. You can't do that if you're not clear thinking. If you are hijacked and your rational brain is actually being kind of veiled, it can't function the same way when we're in fight or flight. There is no way that you can come up with the best way forward. You can't. You can't. You might be able to run out of a fire. You might be able to run away from a saber-toothed tiger, whatever, but you're not going to solve business problems, and most likely you are not going to solve the kind of problems your family might be bringing to you when you have to take into consideration a whole bunch of factors, including people's feelings and all the potential outcomes. You can't do that when you're not calm and clear-headed. So, because our environment's not going to slow down, and because all the people around you probably are not perfect, And because you probably have business goals that are stretch goals and things that might not even be rational and realistic, right? That's the world we're in. And so I want to give you this. I want you to try it. I want you to practice the breathing exercise. So learn to do stop, read about box breathing, read about the breathing exercise, and then do it. It's going to feel weird at first. Everybody says that to me, like that feels really awkward. And I'm like, get over it. You're an adult. Like, come on. We want to be good. I want you to be functioning at your optimal level. And by the way, you should want your team to be the same. So it should not feel bad. If you are a leader, I am talking straight to you. How does this work if I'm in the middle of a difficult conversation? That's a really, really great conversation. So if you're in the middle of a hard conversation, first of all, if you knew it was going to be hard, you should prepare. If you didn't know and it turns hard in the middle, it is okay for you to stop and take a breath, challenge your own thinking, and choose what you are going to say next. Now, it's a great question, Michelle, because most people aren't used to that. We're not used to saying time out. We are not used to stopping ourselves before we say and do things that most of the time we might regret. We are not thinking clearly and calm-headed. So part of you practicing stop, challenge, and choose before those situations arise is that when you're in the middle of it, it will feel less awkward. It will feel more comfortable because it will be one of your practices. The same way you take care of yourself if you have to go to the restroom, I hope, or, we have other things that we have deemed normal and acceptable. And so practicing stop, challenge, and choose should become that for you. It's a go-to practice. The same way you might say, I need to go get some coffee. I need to take a bio break. I need to take a break right now because I'm not clear thinking. If this becomes normal, I promise you will function better. Your family will make better decisions together, which could probably help with a whole bunch of issues. Your team will be better, and we will have less of the moments where we're wondering why people didn't think through problems, why they didn't open the attachment, why they didn't come prepared to your meeting, why they're not collaborating with each other, friends. Like, all of those are downstream effects of the humans not knowing how to manage themselves when the pressure is on. And the pressure just seems to be getting turned up. So my challenge to you today is to do this for yourself. Make it normal for yourself first. And then I'm guessing you are going to want the people around you to know how to do the same for themselves. I don't want you to impose it as their boss and say, everybody has to do this. I want you to invite them to do it because, again, the goal is we want to make great decisions. We want to execute together. We want to be aligned. We want to collaborate. Whatever your long-term goals are, that's the reason why. And by the way, in your family, it's the same. We want to be aligned. We want to be aligned on how we use our resources. We want to be aligned on where we're going to live. We want to be aligned together on how we make life decisions. Okay, so my promise was 20 minutes or less. I'm looking in the chat to see if there's any other questions. Hi everybody. Okay, so awesome. I'm going to send you into your day. Do not go back to work or whatever you were doing without clicking on the blog and getting the directions for Stop, Challenge, and Choose. Again, my challenge is you learning it and practicing it and using it. And then if you have any questions, you can find me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. I'm pretty easy to find. You can just Google Chris Grimm. I'm here for you. And let's do this. Let's do this. Have a great day.